Henry's nightmare isn't over. It's only just beginning. After the shocking events at the Stones, Blood of My Blood, Season 2. Episode 2 will push every character past their breaking point. The time portals have opened again, the clans are divided by vengeance, and the baby, the innocent symbol of two worlds, may hold the key to life or death itself. Rumors say this episode is darker, bloodier, and far more emotional than anything we've seen before. Because when love is torn apart by time and war, even the strongest hearts can shatter. And now, the line between destiny and destruction is fading fast. The second episode begins right where the chaos left off. The battle drums echo through the highlands as dawn breaks, but this time, it's not just the call of war, it's the cry of a fractured soul. Henry is alive, but not whole. When he wakes up among the smoke and ashes of the Jacobite uprising, he realizes the truth. Julia and baby William are gone. The Stones took them, leaving him stranded in a world that no longer feels real. His mind cracks open with flashbacks, trench fire, screams, blood-soaked mud from World War I, all colliding with the violence around him. His body is in Scotland, but his heart is still in that war. The rebellion is just another battlefield, and Henry is caught in it once again. Meanwhile, whispers ripple through the clans that a mysterious woman and a child vanished near Craig na Dun. The locals say the Stones were singing that night, a song of loss, love, and sacrifice. To them, it's superstition, but to those who know the truth, it's a curse reborn. Henry refuses to believe he's lost them forever. Every breath he takes is filled with guilt and rage. He clings to one thought. If the Stones took them, then maybe they can bring him back to them. But fate is cruel. The only person who might help him understand what happened is none other than Brian Fraser, now a fugitive after killing Malcolm Grant. Brian's story runs parallel, but their fates are about to collide. After fleeing with Ellen, Brian hides deep in the glens, haunted by what he's done. The weight of Malcolm's death is crushing him, but worse is the feeling that he's being hunted, not just by men, but by destiny itself. He knows the rebellion will soon engulf everything, yet his mind keeps circling back to the fiery crosses and the promise of war. His love for Ellen is fierce, but their bond is being tested by fear. She senses that Brian's heart is darkening, that something inside him is changing, slowly, dangerously. Then comes the vision. One night, as the wind howls outside their cottage, Brian dreams of a man in strange clothes, bloody, lost, and calling for Julia. He doesn't understand what it means, but he can't shake the feeling that this man is real. Across time, Henry dreams of Brian, too, seeing flashes of the Highlander's face in the smoke of battle, hearing Ellen's voice echoing through the fog. Their timelines are bleeding together. Something, or someone, is forcing their worlds to intertwine. In the middle of this confusion, the clans are preparing for the inevitable. The Jacobite rebellion has begun, and every man must choose a side. But Brian's loyalty is fractured. The Grants want revenge. The Mackenzies want blood. And the Frasers? They just want to survive. Yet destiny doesn't care about survival. It demands sacrifice. Ellen fears that their love will be tested in ways they can't imagine. And she's right. Because in the chaos of rebellion, Brian will be forced to face the one man who can destroy everything he's fought for, Henry himself. But how is that possible? How can two men from different centuries meet on the same battlefield? Because the Stones are calling again. And this time, they're calling for blood. The world around Henry is collapsing, and his sanity with it. The thunder of cannons and the screams of Highland soldiers blur together until he can no longer tell whether he's in 1715 or trapped again in the trenches of France. His hands tremble every time he picks up a sword, because to him, every blade is just another rifle, every cry just another dying comrade. His fellow rebels think he's cursed, a man who speaks to ghosts and wakes in the night screaming names they've never heard before. Julia. William. The names echo like an unfinished prayer. But deep down, Henry's torment isn't madness, it's memory. The stones didn't just pull him through time, they ripped his soul in half. One part of him lives in this violent past, the other is still reaching out for Julia across centuries. When a group of Highlanders finds him half-conscious near the edge of a burned village, they bring him to their camp. Among them is a man with a familiar face, older and battle-scarred, Brian Fraser. Though neither realizes it at first, their meeting will alter both destinies. Brian, now a captain among the rebels, has hardened. The kind man who once fought for love now fights for vengeance. Every drop of blood spilled reminds him of the life he lost when the clans turned against him. His eyes are colder, his temper shorter, and even Ellen fears the man he's becoming. When Henry is brought before him, wounded and delirious, Brian demands to know his clan. Henry mutters something incoherent about London, about the war that's coming, and for a moment, Brian feels an icy recognition. This stranger speaks of things no man in 1715 could know. Machines of death, kingdoms that rise and fall, battles fought with fire instead of swords. It terrifies Brian. Yet somewhere in his heart, he knows this man's arrival isn't an accident. It's fate, weaving threads between time and blood. Still, there's no room for mystery when war is on the horizon. The rebels are preparing for the march to Sheriffmuir, the decisive battle that will either free Scotland or destroy it forever. Brian orders Henry to fight or be left behind, unaware that this man carries knowledge that could change everything. Henry doesn't want to fight. But what choice does he have? Every night, the sound of the wind through the glens turns into whispers. He hears Julia calling his name, pleading for him to hold on, to find her. He swears he can hear the stones humming even from miles away. Back in the future, Julia's world has been turned inside out. She and baby William have made it through the stones, but not where or when they expected. The sky above is gray and unfamiliar, and the land feels wrong, colder, older. She realizes they've been pushed even further back than before. The fear in her eyes grows as she looks at her son. The child's cries echo strangely, almost as if the air itself responds. Claire tries to reassure her, telling her that time travel is unpredictable, but Julia knows there's more at play. The stones didn't misfire. They sent her here for a reason. Meanwhile, back in 1715, the signs of doom are everywhere. The clans are restless, alliances crumble, and prophecies spread through the fireside whispers. Some say a child born between two times will bring the downfall of the old world. Others believe that the stones are awakening again to correct what humans have broken. When a Mackenzie seer hears of a strange child and a vanished woman, she warns Column's men that the balance of time has been disturbed. A child not of this age, she says, will demand a sacrifice. Brian doesn't believe in prophecy, but Ellen does. And when she learns that Brian has taken in a man who speaks like no other, she feels a chill crawl up her spine. Henry and Brian, two men from different centuries, are now bound by something deeper than either of them understands. And when Ellen looks into Henry's eyes, she feels something impossible. Recognition. Could it be that the man standing before her has already met her bloodline? Could he be the key to everything? Or the curse that ends it all? Because soon, one of them will be forced to choose. Save the woman they love, or save the future itself. The storm finally breaks over the highlands, drenching the land in icy rain as the clans gather for war. Torches flicker like dying stars against the night, and among them stands Henry, haunted, hollow, and trembling. He doesn't belong here, and yet fate refuses to let him go. Every breath feels borrowed, every heartbeat a cruel reminder that Julia and William might be gone forever. But as the rebellion marches closer to Sheriffmuir, something begins to change inside him. He starts hearing the baby's cries again, not in dreams, not in memories, but out in the forest at night. The same soft wailing that used to calm him, now echoing from the darkness. Brian dismisses it as madness, but Ellen knows better. She feels the same pull in her chest, the same chill when the wind carries whispers that don't belong to this time. The seer's words keep replaying in her mind. A child born between two worlds will demand a sacrifice. The prophecy is spreading like wildfire, twisting the hearts of men already drowning in fear. Some claim the child is a blessing, a bridge between past and future. Others say it's a curse sent by dark forces to punish the clans for their disobedience. And in the chaos of it all, one truth begins to surface. Someone will have to die to close the circle of time. As the days pass, Henry starts remembering flashes that don't make sense. He sees Julia standing near the stones, her face pale and tear-streaked, whispering something he can't quite hear. He sees Claire beside her, holding William, both surrounded by a strange light. He remembers trying to reach them, and then nothing but pain. But there's more. In his nightmares, he sees the face of a Highland warrior holding Ellen's hand as they stand before the same stones, and behind them, the baby, his baby, crying in both times at once. When Henry jolts awake, his skin is cold, his heart pounding. He finally confides in Ellen, telling her everything. She listens, unable to breathe, because she knows something Henry doesn't. The stones have always demanded balance. A traveler cannot pass through time without leaving something behind. Life for life. Blood for blood. And now, with the child existing across centuries, the balance is broken. Ellen realizes that her own lineage, the one that will one day lead to Claire, is at the center of this chaos. Henry and Julia's baby is a descendant of her bloodline, twisted by the threads of time. Meanwhile, Julia is racing against destiny. Guided by Claire, she's learned that time doesn't move the same in every era. While days pass for her, weeks pass for Henry. Each moment she hesitates could be the moment he dies. The stones hum louder every night, calling her back, but the risk is unbearable. Claire warns her that a second passage might take something she can't afford to lose. Julia knows what that means. To save Henry, she might have to sacrifice her son. Back in 1715, Henry feels it. The pull in his chest, the ache in his soul. He knows Julia is trying to reach him, but the rebellion is already at its peak. The clans march toward Sheriffmuir, a muddy stretch of land soon to be drenched in blood. Brian rides at the front, his sword glinting in the weak sun. Henry follows behind, torn between two wars, one for Scotland and one for love. As the cannons thunder, he sees flashes again. Julia at the stones holding the baby, Claire's face pale with fear, Ellen's eyes full of sorrow. And then it happens. A cannon explodes near him, knocking him to the ground. When the smoke clears, Henry finds himself face to face with Brian. For a moment, time itself seems to freeze. Both men stare, recognizing something ancient and impossible in each other. Brian sees a reflection of himself, lost, broken, bound by love and guilt. Henry sees the ancestor who started it all, the man whose choices shaped his fate. And as the world burns around them, both realize the horrifying truth. The bloodline that connects them will only survive if one of them dies. But who will fate choose to take? The battlefield of Sheriffmuir is chaos incarnate. Smoke thickens the air, drowning out the sky, and the clash of steel rings through the blood-soaked mud. The clans fight with fury, their cries echoing across the hills. Amid this storm of death and destiny, Henry crawls to his knees, his mind splitting between two centuries. Every gunshot becomes a memory from the trenches, every sword strike a flash of another life. He can hear Julia screaming his name through the veil of time, begging him to come back. But he can't move. He's trapped between worlds, torn between love and duty, life and death. Brian finds him again in the chaos, sword drawn, eyes burning with the fury of a man betrayed by fate itself. "Who are you?" he demands, voice shaking. Henry looks up, his face pale, his voice breaking. "I think I'm your blood." The words slice through Brian's heart like a blade. For a moment, time stutters. Memories that aren't his own flash before him, images of a future he can't understand. A child's laughter, the hum of the stones, the sound of a woman whispering his name centuries later. Ellen's voice fades behind him as she pleads for both men to stop, but destiny has no mercy left to give. Then, the prophecy reveals itself in the cruelest way. The seer's words return, whispered by the wind. Only the blood that began the line can end the curse. Brian understands what it means. He's the origin. His life is the price. The stones cannot rest, and the child cannot live freely until the circle closes. Ellen falls to her knees, crying out. But Brian's decision is already made. He lifts his hand to Henry, not as an enemy, but as kin. "Protect her," he says, his voice breaking. "Protect our blood." And before Henry can stop him, Brian charges forward into the fray, straight into the heart of the battle. At that exact moment, far from the battlefield, Julia stands before the stones with baby William in her arms. The sky is swirling with light, the air humming with power. Claire is beside her, tears in her eyes. "If you go through again, Julia," she warns, "you may never come back." The stones always take something Julia doesn't hesitate. "Then they can take me," she whispers. But not him. The wind rises, the stones roar, and she steps forward, just as the first cannon explodes over Brian's head. Time folds in on itself. The battlefield and the hill of stones become one. Julia screams as light engulfs her, and in that blinding instant, everything changes. The cries of the dying fade. The sound of thunder dies away. Henry opens his eyes to find himself alone, the battlefield gone, the air eerily still. In his hands, he holds something small, a baby's blanket. William's. He looks around, heart pounding, but there's no one left. Not Brian, not Ellen. Only silence. Then he hears it, the faint sound of a child's cry echoing through the stones. The wind carries Julia's voice, soft and broken. "Henry, remember us." And then she's gone. The stones fall silent, their song fading into eternity. Henry collapses, tears mixing with the dirt, realizing the truth. Julia sacrificed herself to bring the child through, trading her life for his. Brian gave his life to end the curse that bound their bloodline, and Henry, left between centuries, has become the bridge, the final guardian of a legacy written in blood. Years later, legends spread across the highlands of a ghostly soldier seen wandering the moors, carrying a child's blanket and speaking of a woman lost to time. Some say he's cursed, others say he guards the stones, protecting those who dare to approach. But one thing remains certain: the prophecy was fulfilled. The circle closed, the bloodline lived on, yet as the mist swirls one last time around the ancient stones, a soft hum begins again, faint, distant, but unmistakable. The stones are waking. The curse may be broken, but time itself never forgets. Could it be that Julia's sacrifice wasn't the end, but only the beginning of another story?